Everybody knows about Abraham's nephew Lot, who went with him to the promised land, but a lot of people don't realize how central a figure he was to the story. You see, God tells Abraham to leave his family behind and go to the promised land. But what happens is that Abraham decides to take his nephew Lot with him. And if you track with the story of Abraham, especially when you just read it through, you'll find it's basically composed of two things. Number one, Abraham believing God for a son and to become a great nation. But number two, Abraham dealing with all of Lot's mistakes and problems. Lot's actually a major figure in the story of Abraham, and it teaches us all about obedience. I'm Pastor Branson Villardo, and today I want to show you what the Bible has to say about Lot, Abraham's nephew. If you haven't already, make sure that you like this video and share it to help us get the word out, and subscribe to our channel for more great content just like this. So, like I said, in Genesis chapter 12, God gives Abram the command: get you out of your country and from your kindred, that would include your nephew, and from your father's house, that would include your nephew, unto a land that I'll show you, and I'll make you a great nation. But what does the Bible say? In Genesis chapter 12 and verse 4, Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him. So he did everything according to what God said. And Lot went with him. In other words, Abram did what God said, but Lot also went with him. And so Abram brings Lot on this journey with him into the promised land, but Lot was never called to go to the promised land with Abram. And so what you'll see is that Lot just causes problem after problem after problem for Abram. So I want to give you a rundown of the cascading effects of disobedience. Because what happens is this: when Abram finally gets to the land, he leaves, he goes to Egypt, but then he comes back and he settles in the land, and he gets so rich that he and his nephew Lot can't bear to live together anymore because their herdsmen are always fighting because they have so much stuff. And the Bible says this, that Abram says to Lot, lift up your eyes, look north, south, east, west, decide where you want to go, and I'll go the other direction. So he gives Lot the choice, and Lot sees, well, that land over there by Sodom and Gomorrah looks nice. I'm going to go over there, and Abram, you can have the other part. And then right after Abram says all that to Lot, God shows up to Abraham, and God says, listen, I want you to lift up your eyes, Abraham. And he said, just like what Abraham had said to Lot, but instead, what God says to Abraham is this: when you lift up your eyes, I want you to look north, south, east, and west. But you're not going to look and choose a spot for yourself. I want you to know that everywhere that you look is land that I've given unto you. In other words, I'm not worried about Lot. I'm giving all of this territory to you and to your seed after you. And so then you fast forward in the story, Lot ends up getting kidnapped because he was never called to be there in the first place. Abram has to go to battle for him, has to fight for him, and eventually Lot ends up making a bad decision, and he decides to settle in the city of Sodom. And this is very instructive because then Abram has to, which, if you remember, Abram was not called to settle with the people of the land. That was part of God's instruction to him. I'm going to make you a great nation. So if you're going to be a great nation, you can't go and settle with the Hittites. You can't go and live with the Sodomites. You can't go and live with the people of Gomorrah. You have to go and you have to live separate from these cities. Well, Lot wasn't able to do that. So he goes, he lives with the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, gets into all sorts of trouble, has to flee the land. Abram has to intercede for the city for him. And God saves Lot. But then what you find is this: Lot flees Sodom and Gomorrah, his wife dies, and he has just his two daughters with him. And Lot's two daughters go and they say, well, let's take advantage of our father when he's drunk. So when Lot's drunk, they go and they sleep with him, and they have two children. One of them is Moab. Moab means from the father. It was the product, the child was the product of incest. And so that's why one daughter named her child Moab. The other daughter named her child Ammon, because she said, he's the son of my people, because Ammon is pretty close to people in the Hebrew. In other words, the son of my people. Now, who were her people? The people of Sodom. Moab and Ammon go on to be two of the most wicked nations in the entire Bible. They're like the spiritual heirs of Sodom and Gomorrah. They carry on that legacy. They're known for child sacrifice. They're known for prostituting their daughters when they go into war and doing everything they can to lead Israel into the worship of foreign gods. That right there is all the effect of one decision to disobey God. I want you to see and I want you to learn from the story of Abraham that 99% obedience is disobedience. And God will still be faithful. But it's like what my pastor used to say, you can choose your sin, but you can't choose the consequences. I'm Pastor Branson Valero. I pray that this study on Lot has been a blessing to you. I pray it's been encouraging to you. I pray it's encouraged you to stay in the way of the Lord. I pray it's been revelatory as well. If you haven't already, make sure you like this video and share it to help us get the word out, and subscribe to our channel for more great content just like this. God bless you. Thank you for watching. We love you, and we'll see you next time.